Hey YouTube, welcome back to another edition of Questionable Methods. I'm your host, Ryan, and today we're going to be talking about the electric powered ATV by drill batteries. Now, I know a lot of you guys have got questions about this. These are 18 volt Bosch batteries, but stay tuned because we're going to get into all of that. So when I say drill batteries, what does that mean? I'm talking about 18 volt Bosch drill batteries. Now, you could use any type of drill battery, but I prefer the Bosch. Here's the reason why. 1, they slide on. 2, they're relatively flat. 3, the terminals are right on the top. So when you have your 3D printed slide-on piece, you can have your wiring coming out the back. Now, in our particular application, I normally have them right here in the front of the bike for easy access. The other part of this is the size. So this is a 6 amp hour lithium drill battery, and they also make an 8 amp hour drill battery. Now the amp hours, whether you know or not, amp hours is the amount of amps that you could pull in an hour. So let me show you. Here's my 3D printed piece. Pulled this off of Thingiverse. The original ones I bought from Terraforma. You can go and check them out. They make pretty nice stuff with the wires and everything already in it. But if you don't have a 3D printer, that's the way to go. I think they're about 15 bucks or so. If you do have a 3D printer, go to Thingiverse. You can pull up Bosch. They got a couple different versions. I like this one the best. It had 3 holes in it, and I printed mine at an angle so that the layers were opposite of the direction that it was pulling in. Now, here is my 12 amp hour or my 18 volt 6 amp hour Bosch battery. Clips right in, no problem. Push the button, slides right out. Now, here is the bigger Big Daddy Bosch battery, which is a 8 amp hour lithium ion drill battery, which is what you're going to want. And this too slides right in, holds from the top, pretty strong. You can probably throw it around. And this is regular 3D printed filament, PLA in gray. You could also probably do carbon fiber or something like that. And that's what we're working with. Now, each battery, you can sometimes find them on sale, but they're not really cheap. You can get, I think, 2 for maybe about 200 something bucks sometimes, but you want to get the brand name. I find out that they have better internal batteries inside them instead of some of the knockoffs. That's something to look for. But today, we're not just going to talk about drill batteries. We're going to talk about the QMX. And you may have seen some of my other videos cruising around, hitting the streets, hitting up the park. And we topped out at about 35, 37 miles an hour. I know a lot of you guys out there are asking about that. So that's what we're looking at right now. Now that can be changed with the gear ratio that we have in the back. Right now I got a big rear sprocket. We could make that bigger, which will give me less top end, more low end. Or I can make it smaller, which will give me less low end and more top end. Now, if you get too crazy on that gear ratio and you make that gear too small, you're going to have issues of the controller burning out. You're going to have issues of the wires burning out because you're going to put too much load onto it and the motor is going to be straining too hard to get that initial startup. So you got to find that balance between a good size sprocket, gear ratio, and the motor itself. I currently run about a 10 to 1 or 12 to 1, meaning for every 1 spin on that front motor, for every 1 spin on the rear chain sprocket, we have about 12 to 10 spins on the front sprocket. This is number 8 chain, which comes with the 3000 watt brushless motor. I'm running different motor and controller combination just because I like the options of this style controller. And we can get into that. If you got more questions about that, leave me in the comments below and we'll talk about that next time. But what I really want to talk about today is these front brakes. Right now, I currently only have rear disc brakes on this bike. Although I do have the front rotors on here, I do not have the calipers on here. And the reason being is because when I welded this up, I kind of effed it up. I didn't leave myself enough clearance for the bracket that mounts the caliper and then the off spacing of the caliper itself. So you have your bracket, you have the caliper, and then you have your rotor that's supposed to run in between. I didn't leave enough clearance for all that. So that's my bad. That's something we're going to fix and something we're going to get into. But in order to fix that, I'm going to have to cut some parts off here, slide that whole system over to add about, 20 mil, 3/8 of an inch to that spacing in between the rotor and the control arm that we have on here right now. And that's something that we're going to get into, not today. Today is all about questioning and answering, and hopefully we're going to be able to answer most of those questions for you. Stay tuned. Hey YouTube, you know what we're really talking about today is brakes. Even though I know you got questions about the batteries, hopefully answered some of those. We talked about the motor. We've also had some questions about the hubs, which right here, this is the hub. This is the rear hub specifically. This is what allows us to drive the bike. This is what connects to our axle. This is custom made hubs. We do offer them. If you're interested, drop us a comment below. We'll see what we can do about that. Let me show you a quick one. Alright YouTube, this is what I'm talking about. This is our custom billet aluminum rear hub. I made these in-house, machined them, designed them, engineered them all by myself. I use SolidWorks, but you could use any other kind of CAD program that you like. If you're interested in some of these, definitely drop us a comment below and we'll see what we can do about it. Here at Questionable Methods, we just go with the flow. You let us know what you like, we'll try to figure it out. May not always be the right way, but we'll get her done. Besides the custom aluminum hub parts, we do the 3D printed parts. Set that aside for later. This is a custom fiberglass seat pan that I designed for myself. Of course, I'm in a wheelchair. You may not need one. If you're an able-bodied running around, maybe just put a regular seat post on there. I don't know. Let us know where you're watching from, and we'll get back to you. Now, this also is a custom backrest, leather, hand-stitched, all that good stuff. Custom frame, all the framework I designed and engineered myself. Put it up on the CNC plasma table, cut it all out, grinded. If you haven't seen any of that yet, check out some of my other videos. If you haven't seen this thing run yet, definitely check out some of our other videos. We got one that's way up there, 72 volt ATV. That's what this is, drill powered. Check it out. Watch out. Alright YouTube, let me show you something real quick. Although this looks heavy duty, it's really not that heavy. I can grab it one arm, and normally what I do is kind of roll it. Let me try that again. Normally I try to roll it up onto its side. There we go. 1, 2, 3. Just like that, I got it up on its side. I can do any kind of maintenance, repair, all that type of stuff. Next, I got this wheel unbolted already. So what I'm going to show you is one of our other hubs, which is a single-sided hub, which allows you to put a disc brake on one side and bolt from one side. You can also find these hubs for like trikes, recumbent trikes. It's like the front wheels on a recumbent trike. If you got an old recumbent trike, you could cut the front wheel out, relace it onto some nice fat tire rims, and you'll be golden. Currently, these are 180 millimeter rotors, and about these, one you got to run forwards, and the other one you got to run backwards, because typically they go on a bicycle, and those typically only go on one side, which is on this side, rolling forward. But since we have them on both sides, one side will need to be backwards. Think about that when you're ready to build. Alright, now that we got most of that worked out, let me bring you in a little closer. Alright, YouTube, here's where I effed up. The spacing in between here and where the bearing rests, I didn't leave enough room for the bracket that goes on here, which is about finger's width, and then the caliper that goes on there. So right now, when you put the wheel on, there's not enough spacing between those two to fit all the pieces that I need. So what I have to do is I gotta cut this off, and this little bit that's sticking out here needs to go in so that this piece can come out a little bit more, or I gotta figure out a way to gap that to push that out. Unfortunately, it's quite a bit, about 3/8 of an inch that it needs to come out to be able to fit that entire stack in there of the caliper plus the bracket that goes in there. So you'll have to stay tuned for that in the next episode. Well, that's about it for today. I know we didn't get any work done, but we did talk about 3D printed parts. We talked about Bosch drill batteries, both the 6 amp hour and the 8 amp hour, and we talked about our custom billet aluminum hubs. All those things you guys have had questions about. Hopefully I've answered them for you. Now, one thing we didn't really touch upon is how long does this thing run for? Now, the potential of a 72 volt, 3000 watt motor can pull up to about 45 amps. So if you only got 8 amps on there and you're pulling 45 and this is 8 amp hours, you definitely ain't gonna make it an hour. You may make it about 10 minutes, 20 minutes max. When I rode around town and I had a combination of the 8 and the 6, it was about 30 minutes, but I wasn't full throttle the full time. So a lot of times you're just a little bop, 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 and you're not just tweaking it down. Sometimes you're going downhill. If you have regen, you're getting a little battery back. Otherwise, and rolling resistance. This thing has very low rolling resistance with good pressure in the tires. That's all I got to say for today. If you have any questions, like I said, definitely leave us in the comments below. I'm trying to answer those more often. If you want to see any more questionable things, definitely tune in. You can watch me grind, cut, design, engineer. If you want me to see me build anything else, let us know. I'll see if I can't work it out. Till next time, peace.